Hitting $1 million in revenue is one of the most dangerous moments in a founder's journey. Not because it's bad, but because of what it does to your thinking. It makes you feel like the formula works, so you just got to double down on it. You got to do more than it took to get you here, and that's exactly what keeps most founders stuck between $1 and $2 million per year. The skills, the habits, the decisions that built your first million will actively hold you back for your next 10 if you don't recognize them and replace them immediately. Today, I will just show you exactly what it looks like and what you need to do and the mistakes that will kill the momentum right after that first major milestone. I remember the first time GrowRev crossed a major revenue milestone, and I'll be honest with you, the feeling lasted about a week because almost immediately the problems got way bigger, the team got more complicated, and the clients got way more demanding. And I realized the version of me that built the business to that point was not equipped to take it to the next level until the things that I had to do, I had to change. The way I operated had to change, and nobody had told me that was coming. So today, that's what I want to do for you. If you've hit $1 million or you're even close to it, this is the conversation I wish someone had had with me. What comes next, what to avoid, and why most founders who get here never go much further. $1 million in revenue is a real milestone, and I'm not going to take that away from you. It means you've got a market, you've got an offer, and you've got the ability to sell. That's more than most people ever figure out. But here's what nobody tells you. The game changes completely at this level. The problems change, decisions change, what you need to spend your time on changes, and the founders who figure that out fast are the ones who break through to $10 million and beyond. So let's talk about what actually needs to happen next. You have to become a different operator before we get into the tactics. I want to talk about something that most people skip over. Because if you don't get this right, none of the tactical stuff actually matters. The founders who built a $1 million business and the founder who builds a $10 million business are not doing the same job. They're not even thinking the same way. And the gap between those two versions is almost never about strategy or marketing or offers. It's completely about their identity. To get you to 10 million, you have to make a fundamental shift in how you see your role. Stop being the person who does the best work and become the person who builds the system. That does the best work. You stop being the best salesperson and you become the person who builds the sales teams. You stop being the one who solves every single problem and become the one who builds people who solves those problems. That shift sounds simple, but it's actually not. Because it means letting go of the things that made you successful in the first place. It means trusting others to do things you know you could do better. It means accepting that a business that runs at 80% of your personal standards but doesn't need you. It's worth more than the business that runs at 100% and falls apart the moment you step back. Most founders resist this for years. They tell themselves they'll delegate when they find the right person, or that they'll build a system when things slow down. They'll step back and the time is right, but then the time never actually is right because they've never made the decision to change in the first place. The decision comes first, the systems comes after, not the other way around. We grew insanely fast when we got into the business to the point where it was the detriment of me and the company. But through that whole process, I leaned on someone in my network and I said, hey, how did you handle this? What were the biggest mistakes that you made? And the first thing that they said to me was, you need to bring in an operator that takes everything off your plate. Now, we went through some of the worst operators that you can think of because people are great at selling themselves. Then I took a step back and had a conversation with people on my team and I said, who is the person that we need? That person actually was so out of our range and so out of our reach that we never actually were able to, in our head, think that we could get there. However, what we ended up doing was hire a placement agency to go find someone for me. We ended up finding someone with over 20 years worth of experience that literally came into my business and transformed it, showed me things that I never thought were possible from an operations perspective on how real big agencies are run. Now, most people understand it's like, oh, you can get to 1 million and 10 million. This specific person was working for what would be considered a holdco, some of the biggest agencies in the world, to bring their operations in. Now, it cost me a lot of fucking money to get them into the business in the first place. However, the time that I saved, the time that it shortened my learning curve was worth every single dollar. Now, when it comes to understanding it from a founder perspective, the one thing that you've got to realize is you're great at sales, you're great at marketing, you're great at telling your product. Start delegating it from day one. Start building SOPs from day one. That is something that we did not do. So when this operator came into our business to run our operations department, he was starting from a blank slate, but a company that was already running like a fucking Ferrari. It was kind of like catching up for him the whole time because the Ferrari was not running on all cylinders. Once he got it moving, our systems became completely smooth and our communication got 10 times better internally, got 10 times better with our clients. Our results grew. Our clients started sending us more referrals, which in turn made me as a founder realize, shit, I've actually built something solid that can now literally go from a Ferrari to a Bugatti if I really wanted to. Why most $1 million businesses never go beyond it? Let's start here, because if you don't understand why this ceiling actually exists, you'll hit it and you won't even know why. The number one reason most $1 million businesses stall is the founder is still the business. You are the best salesperson. You are the one who delivers the best work. You are the one with the client's call when shit goes wrong. You are the one holding it all together and being the glue. And that model has a ceiling. It's you. Your hours, your energy, your bandwidth. When you hit that ceiling, you can't grow by working harder because you're already at full capacity. And you can't hire your way out of it because the business isn't documented enough for anyone else to run it in the first place. The second reason is the offer you got to $1 million is usually too broad. You said yes to everything, every type of client, every single type of project, and every type of problem that got you to your first $1 million. To get to 10, you need to say no to most of it and go deep on what actually works. The third, and this one is the hardest one to hear, the founder's identity. This is attached to the hustle, the grind, the brand. Doing everything yourself is a point of pride. And the idea of building systems, delegating, and stepping back feels like giving something up rather than actually leveling up. So let me tell you a story. Like, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we grew the company insanely fast for a few different reasons. One, getting in the right rooms, building the right network, delivering the right products, and kind of go down that road. If most agencies went through what we went through, would have actually collapsed. It was essentially like building a business on a three-legged stool, which eventually the weight of that is going to collapse the company. And what that really taught me internally was we are great at selling, we're great at delivering, but we're not great at building systems. So one of the big decisions that I had to make internally as running the company, the CEO, is let's take the next 12 months, even 18 months, and just rebuild everything from scratch. Let's cut back our revenue. Let's get rid of the clients that aren't serving us today and make the team and the culture stronger. Because if I can get the team and the culture stronger, make the operations better, then the sales on top of it can scale. Doing that one thing literally transformed my business 18 months later, because it wasn't the revenue that really mattered. It was actually the culture of the team, and it was actually the systems that we put in. Because when you go grow and hyper growth companies, they fall just as fast as they grow, they can fall just as fast. I felt that. That was one of the worst things that I ever did, but making the cognizant decision of going backwards for a short period of time is literally like the cliche term of 2 steps back, 5 steps forward. If that's what you're feeling, go and do that right now. Part 2. The mistakes that kill momentum right away and right after $1 million. Here are some of the mistakes that I see most often, and I want to be specific about these because they're not as obvious. These are the ones that look like the right move in the right moment, and let's get right into it. So mistake number 1 is hiring too fast without a foundation. The first thing most founders do when they have some revenue is hire, and that's not the wrong thing. But hiring without documented process, without clear roles, without clear onboarding systems, just brings chaos in at a higher salary. Now, you end up managing people instead of building the business. Mistake number 2 is scaling the wrong offer. And you find the one thing that works for you and you pour everything into it, ads, teams, systems, without asking whether that offer actually is the right one to build the next phase of the business on. Sometimes it is. Sometimes what you got to $1 million is not what's going to get you to 10. And you need to be honest about that and which situation that you're in today. Mistake number 3 is spending the revenue instead of investing in it. When the money starts coming in, it's consistently a lifestyle that expands to meet it. New office, new gear, new hires, and you don't quite need it yet. And suddenly the business that was profitable at a lower revenue is breaking even at a higher revenue. The number looks better. The business is actually more fragile than it ever was before. Mistake number 4 is ignoring the numbers. A lot of founders who are great at selling and delivering have no real relationship with their financials. At a low revenue, you can get away with it. At this level, it'll catch up to you. You need to know your margins, your cost to acquire a customer, your lifetime value, your cash position, and at any given moment, if you don't know these numbers right now, that is the most urgent thing for you to fix. Please go do that. Mistake number 5 is not raising your prices. Most founders underprice at $1 million in revenue. They got clients by being accessible, by being able to be the most affordable option, by doing whatever it takes to close the deal. But that pricing attracts clients that are harder to work with, and the margins don't support building a real team. Raising your prices is one of the most highest leverage moves that is available to you right now, and most founders wait way too long to do that. Now, let me tell you a story about when part of the reason I got brought up in the past story was that we grew super fast, something that most people would be completely infatuated with. However, the one mistake that we made, we were so underpriced. And that's what I realized. Now, being underpriced, having good delivery in the sense of the results that we got was like a compound effect that we couldn't keep up with. It was like a snowball just completely rolling downhill in the sense that, we were getting these amazing results. People were talking about us. Referrals were coming in left, right, and center. Our team was closing, and myself, we were closing literally at an 80 to 90% close rate. And I did not realize that me making the biggest mistake of just continuously increasing my price to start working with people that turn into a fucking headache all the time. I remember this specific time. I was getting ready to board on a family vacation. I was at Vancouver Airport where I lived, and this client sends me this scathing email. And I just look at this email, and the first thing that goes into my mind was like, I can't believe I'm reading this right now. Everything that I've done for him and everything that I've done to save his business, because he was literally borderline bankrupt at the time, and he has the audacity to come at me that because I'm going on vacation is literally his biggest issue. And that exact moment, I realized I needed to make a big change. And that change was I'm going to charge way more money to work with the right people that respect me, that look at me like a partner, not like a vendor, because that's how we bring our team and our processes now today into the company. And as soon as I got on that plane, I literally had to tell that client, this is the last month that we'll be working together. And it was the most freeing feeling inside of my body, knowing that I never have to feel that. I know you're probably thinking about this and you have that one client that you're probably like, what it would feel like just to get rid of them. Trust me, go do it. You'll make way more money quicker. Part 3, what to actually do next. You understand why most businesses stall here and what the mistakes are. Now let's talk about what to actually do with it. First is document everything. Before you hire, before you scale, before you spend another dollar on ads, document how your business works. How you get your clients, how do you deliver your clients, how do you onboard, what happens when something goes completely ass up or something goes completely wrong. Get it out of your head and into a format where someone else can follow a step-by-step process. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. Second, get clear on your best clients and your best offer. Look at the last 12 months of revenue. Which clients were the most profitable, the easiest to deliver for, and most likely to refer others to you. This is your ideal client profile. Now, look at which offer generated the most amount of revenue with the least friction. This is what you double down on. Everything else you stop offering or you raise your prices until it becomes worth your time. Third, hire for your weakness, not for your workload. The first hires most founders make are people to help them do more of what they're already doing. That just gives you more of a capacity to stay stuck. The hires that actually make the business move forward are the ones that cover the things that you're not good at and you don't want to do. Operations, finance, delivery, hire for the gaps, not for the overflow. Fourth, build a sales system that doesn't depend on you. If you are still the primary closer in your business, you just have a glorified job, not a company. Build a repeatable sales process, one that can be documented, trained, and handed off. Is what converts a founder-led business into a scalable one. It doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with writing it down. Exactly how you sell and why it works. Fifth, protect your cash, know your numbers. Revenue is just vanity, profit is sanity, and cash, trust me, is fucking reality. At this stage, you need a real relationship with your financials, not just monthly revenue, but margins, payroll as a percentage of your revenue, cost to acquire a customer, and how many months of runway you have at any given time. If you don't know these numbers in front of you every single week, build that system. now before it's too late and you need it in a crisis. Here's the truth about your first million. It proves you can build something, but it does not prove you can scale it. Those are two completely different skill sets. And the founders who recognize that fast, who are willing to change the way that they operate, change the way they spend their time, change the way they think about the business, those are the ones who go from 1 million to 10 million. The ones who don't, who keep doing what got them here because it worked before, they just stay stuck. Not because they're not talented, but because they're applying the right skills to the wrong stage. Let's be real. You've done the hard part. You've proved the model works. Now the job is to build a business that doesn't need you to run it in every single day. That's what the next stage is about. And if you start making those moves now, the next milestone is a lot closer than you think. So drop a comment and tell me which part of this is the most relevant to you and where you are right now, the mistakes, what to do next, or just figuring out why you've been stuck. I'll read every single comment and it shapes what I make next for you. If this landed for you, the next video goes deeper on one of the biggest leverage points at this stage, building a team that can actually run the business without you. What to hire for, in what order, and how to hand things off without everything falling apart. It's on the screen next, so watch it right here.